Hey everybody, Dave here with another Pathfinder rule reminder for you, and today we're going to be discussing 3 of the traits that all martial characters and their GMs absolutely need to know. But before we get into that, I want to take just a quick moment to talk about today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by ExpressVPN. If you do a lot of travel and spend a lot of time on public Wi-Fi like I do, then you absolutely need to be using a VPN, and ExpressVPN is one of the best providers out there. Not only does ExpressVPN prevent your ISP from seeing your browsing activity, it also masks your IP address, making it much harder for companies to track you and collect your data. Plus, ExpressVPN is a top-rated VPN provider, rated #1 by CNET, The Verge, Mashable, TechRadar, and more, so you know they're a great company. And if you sign up today, you can get 3 months of ExpressVPN service for free by using the link included below in the description. So click that link and sign up for ExpressVPN service today. Alright, so today we're going to be discussing 3 of the traits that are most commonly used on martial abilities. So if you're a character that does a lot of strikes as opposed to our spellcasters, so we're really talking about fighters, barbarians, rangers, monks, and the like, then you are definitely going to need to know these 3 traits and understand how they work. The first trait we're going to discuss is open. For example, you see with Deadly Aim that it has the open trait. And what the open trait means is it can only be used when that action is the first attack in a turn. So you have to use this ability, the open ability, before you can do any other attack actions. Now, this does not mean that it has to be your very first action in a turn. You could still spend your first action on stride to move into an advantageous position, and then on your second action, perform an attack or an ability that has the open trait. It just has to be the first attack action you perform in a given round. Once you have made an attack, then for the rest of that turn, you cannot use any abilities that have the open trait. And the second trait that you need to be familiar with is press. And press is sort of the opposite of open, whereas the open trait notes abilities that can only be used as the first attack in a given round. The press trait means that it cannot be your first attack in a given turn. So the language of press says that it can only be used if you're currently suffering from the multiple attack penalty, and press abilities cannot be used outside of your turn with reactions including ready. So it has to be on your turn while you have a multiple attack penalty, which means you would have had to perform another attack action before it in order to get that multiple attack penalty. But once you have that multiple attack penalty, you could do multiple press actions after that. You just got to make sure that it's not the very first attack action of your turn. And the third trait to cover is going to be Flourish. And Flourish abilities are those that take so much concentration or effort that you can only perform one Flourish action in a given turn. So, for example, Power Attack has the Flourish trait, which means you can only perform it one time in a turn, and it also means if you had multiple abilities that all had the Flourish trait, you could not use all of them in a turn, you would have to choose one of them. You can never use more than one Flourish ability in a turn, and that ability can only be used once in and of itself. So let's take a look at a couple of examples here. In the first example, we're going to have a ranger, and that ranger has 3 abilities that they want to use. There is Hunted Shot, Deadly Aim, and Targeted Shot. Now each of these have a different trait, so those traits are going to dictate to some degree the order in which this character can use those 3 abilities. Deadly Aim has the open trait, so this ranger would start by using Deadly Aim. This would be their first attack action of the turn, so they would make it with no multiple attack penalty, and as a result they would take a small penalty to their attack roll and get a bonus to damage should this first attack hit. With the ranger's second action, they use Hunted Shot. This ability has the Flourish trait. They make 2 attacks, Each are going to be subject to the multiple attack penalty, so the first attack is made at -5 while the second attack is made at -10. If both of the attacks hit the same target, then their damage will be combined for the purposes of resistances and weaknesses. And last, this ranger is going to finish with a targeting shot. This has the press trait. They're suffering a -10 to their attack due to the multiple attack penalty, but this attack would ignore concealment and cover. Targeting shot has the press trait, so as long as this ranger is using their second or third action with it, they're okay, but they would not be able to use it as their first attack of the turn. Also note that Hunted Shot has the Flourish trait, therefore you would not be able to use Hunted Shot for both the second and third actions of the turn, nor would you be able to use another Flourish action in the same turn. So for example, you wouldn't be able to use Hunted Shot as the second attack and then use Skirmish Strike as your third. But this ranger could use Deadly Aim as their first action and then Targeting Shot as both their second and third actions, because the press trait doesn't limit the number of times you could use that ability like Flourish does, as long as it's not the very first attack of the turn. So that's going to do it for today. If you have any questions about any of this, please leave those in the comments below. If you have any suggestions for future rule reminders, please let me know as well. And as always, I want to thank everybody out there who supports me and this channel, whether that's by supporting today's sponsor, ExpressVPN, or by clicking that like button, subscribing to the channel, subscribing to the Patreon. I really appreciate everything you do to support me. And with that, thanks for watching, take care, and happy gaming.